Okay, hello and good morning everyone. Welcome to JFD Brokers Traders Espresso with me, Darius and Anucauskas. Today is the 11th of February 2019, so welcome everyone. Welcome to this Monday's morning session where we're going to have a look at the markets, a few charts, the usual stuff, guys. But before we do that, let's quickly have a read through our risk disclaimer. So, the content we produce does not constitute investment advice or investment recommendation, should not be considered as such, and does not in any way constitute an invitation to acquire any financial instrument or product. As always, a few seconds for you to read the rest, and we can continue. Okay, so I hope you're all feeling nice and refreshed after the weekend, and you're ready for a start of the new week, new trading week. So the first one I want to quickly touch on is the FTSE100. Now, looking at this, of course, it's quite interesting developments happening here. So last week we had a nice push higher initially in the beginning of the week, but then on coming Wednesday and then Thursday and Friday we saw this one selling off, closing in the red. Certainly if we look at the weekly chart on this one, you can see that still the index managed to close in the positive territory, and of course this kind of still puts us in a position where we could see some further moves higher. The only thing is, like, looking at this daily chart, guys, you can see that we're still trading above this medium-term downside resistance line taken from the high of the 8th of August. So this adds, of course, adds a positive note on the kind of near-term outlook. The only thing is, from the very short-term perspective, you could see this one maybe sliding further down here. Now, in a way, we could maybe draw this upside support line here, so just for our kind of reference. And of course, you could, in a way, look at potentially, well, we could look at this line getting touched again. The only thing is, probably the main question here is if this is going to hold at this level right here, the psychological 7,000 level is going to hold again, and then we could see maybe a nice rebound and a push back up here, where we could then aim again for these the highs that we saw last week near the 7,190 level. And of course, if that gets broken, then yep, further acceleration to the upside is possible. The only thing is, like, for now, guys, certainly we are it could potentially move a little bit lower here, or even actually, like I said, retest the psychological 7,000 level. The only thing is, be very careful here, be very cautious, because if this suddenly gets broken, then yeah, we could see further declines. Now, of course, what should we also be keeping an eye on is, of course, this downside resistance line and this upside support line. So in a way, there are some good potential support, strong support areas as well. We could see maybe this one traveling, even if, let's say, if it gets broken, if the 7,000 level gets broken, then yeah, we could see a further move lower. But again, this is where the bulls kind of could pick it up again and push the index back higher. But for now, let's say it would be, let's say, difficult to kind of speculate here. And for now, from the very short-term perspective, yes, we could see maybe a little drop here, a little bit lower. But then the big question here is, of course, around the 7,000 level. If, let's say, this decides to suddenly reverse sharply back to the upside here straight away, now, in order to kind of be more on the safe side, and to be honest, it's probably in these circumstances here right now, and looking at the chart here, at this point in time, probably it's better to kind of wait and see if we do get a nice push above these last week's highs near the 7,190 level. Then yeah, we could then target slightly higher levels, like let me just quickly remove this. Yep, like the 7,245 or even the 7,330 level. So we could maybe see that one, because this level here, the 7,330 level, acted as a nice area of resistance here back around September, mid-September. You can see it kind of held it temporarily, but then yeah, of course, it got broken here to the upside, but still kind of this like little obstacle that could kind of hold down hold the rate down temporarily. So that's why, guys, for now probably we're gonna just take a more cautious approach here. We'll wait for a possible move above the 7,190 level in order to consider further acceleration to the upside. But on the downside, of course, we'll keep a close eye on the psychological 7,000 level, and when we will see what it wants to do with it. But like I said, we could maybe potentially see a bit of a correction here, further correction lower. But like I said, the big question is around the 7,000 level. So let's see how that plays out. Jumping into gold, looking at this daily chart, you can see that it's still trading above this slightly steeper, shorter term upside support line taken from the lows of mid-November. And basically for now, we're just going to continue monitoring it. And even though on Friday and Thursday we saw this push higher here, and now we can see that kind of the commodities getting held here near this 1316 level. Of course, this is going to be very important, an important level to watch, because if we do get a nice push above the 1316, then yes, we could maybe revisit the highs that we saw here back on the 31st of January, and that was around the 1326 level. So this could get touched again. But for such a such a move, for such a level, or we need to see a nice good push above the 1316 level first. But what also we could see here is, of course, you probably already, maybe some of you guessed it and understood, that we may see maybe a further slide lower here, a retest of this upside support line, and if it remains intact, then we could see a nice potential rebound from it, and then a push back up. So of course this could be a possible scenario, but for now, certainly keep your eyes on some of the key levels here. So certainly we do have this 1308 level. I do understand it got violated last week, so in a way you could keep a close eye on the 1302 approximately there, or even actually the same psychological 1300 level, so around here somewhere. So that you could keep a close eye on down. If this upside support line suddenly starts breaking and we see the price falling below the 1297 level, now brace yourselves, we could see maybe further declines, further correction to the downside, where we could then test the 1287 or even actually the 1276 zone approximately there, guys. So there are some good potential areas of support, but again, for a further move lower, we would need to see not only a break of this upside support line, but also a drop below the 1297 zone. So for now, guys, certainly until we're kind of trading above this slightly steeper upside support line, short-term one, of course, we will continue aiming higher, and like I said, as long as it remains intact, basically. Ethereum, now this is very interesting. So and actually let me just jump into a 4-hour chart, because then I do apologize for the amount of lines that I've got here. Basically had a nice push here, had a nice push on Friday, and Ethereum managed to break this little area, this little range that I was talking about in one of my previous videos, and managed to push above the 110 level, even actually almost touched, and actually it did. Yes, it did touch the 125 level, so good touch there. And you can see that the bears kind of jumped in right now, kind of pushing the crypto back down a little bit. But what's more important is, of course, now keep an eye on this 119 level. So you can see that initially it kind of acted as a good area of resistance here temporarily over the weekend, I would say, and now it's kind of acting as good levels of support for us. Let's say as long as this continues to trade above the 112.50 level, and as long as the kind of crypto remains above that, then we will continue aiming and targeting higher levels. If this suddenly starts dropping back down below the 110 zone, well, in a way there is a good chance that we could see maybe the psychological 100 level getting revisited again. So For now, guys, long story short, basically you could in a way for now just remain neutral, keep your eyes on this one, because if this suddenly starts pushing above the 125 level again, this is where it could become interesting for more bulls, as we could see more of them jumping in and pushing the crypto higher, maybe towards the 132 level. Then still we do have we would like to see a nice touch of the 150 level, so the psychological 150 level. It could be good to see, but again, first, in order to kind of see that level getting hit, we need to see a few resistance areas getting cleared first. So, and like I said, the first one that we're going to keep an eye on is going to be the 125 level. Above that is the 132 zone that we're going to monitor carefully. So, and like I said, with the downside, it's the 112.50. that's the kind of, as long as it remains above that level. But if it suddenly drops below the 110, then we'll start looking at the 100, the psychological 100 level again. Jumping into euro dollar now, this is a very interesting one, and let me just quickly jump into a daily. So last week was a bit of a, well, I wouldn't say maybe a bit of a, but it was a strong down week for the euro, and for the euro against the dollar. So of course we can see that the pair remains a bit trading below it. So basically it stayed below this upside support line and closed the week. But just quickly, I'll show you the weekly candle here, guys, and this is what I want to show you. Basically, when we had previously broken this upside support line, the week still closed above, the rate kind of still remained above it at the end of the week, but this time you can see that we had a sharp sell-off, and kind of the rate stayed below this in a way tentative upside support line. But to be honest, we kept looking at it, and it was playing out nicely. So in a way, this of course shows that there could be some potential to the downside. We could see maybe a further move towards the 112.55 level. And let me just jump back into the daily chart here, guys. So we could initially now target the 1.1290 marked here by the lows of January 24th. But if that fails to kind of withstand the bear pressure, then yep, further declines are possible towards the 112.70 zone, or even, like I said, going lower further down here towards the 112.25, or even actually towards the 112 level itself. But for now, of course, the main one to watch is the 1.1290. Let's see how this plays out. We could in a way see a push higher, and but if the pair struggles to get back above this upside support line, this is where we could see more bears jumping in and driving this pair lower. So for now, guys, basically be very careful with this one, and like I said, we could see maybe a retracement here back up, but if it fails to drive back above this upside support line, then we will continue aiming lower. And but for a better confirmation of the upside, for example, we would need to see a nice good push above the 1.1395 level, or in a way you could round it up towards the 114. So in a way, a nice good push above the 114 could open the path back higher here towards higher levels. But to be honest, looking at the picture right now, it doesn't seem to be this. I would probably say this is the scenario B. So the scenario A is kind of more to the downside, but like I said, for a better confirmation of further declines, we need to see a drop below the 112.90. Jumping into GBPUSD, this, you can see the messy chart here. Basically, we are, yes, from the slightly longer term perspective, yes, or should I say more medium term perspective, yes, it is still trading above this upside support line here, taken from the lows of the mid-December here. But from the very short term perspective, you can see that this downside resistance line remains kind of in play here. And in a way, for now, in order to kind of consider further declines here, potentially towards this upside support line here, we need to see a nice good drop below the 129.10 20 zone, 25, something like that, approximately there. So in a way, for those who are more on the cautious side, you could in a way just wait for those 5 pips here, and and then wait for a possible move lower here, or look into the possible move lower. So basically, a drop below the 129.20 zone, we could open the path towards these lower levels, like the 128.55 here, that was visited on Thursday last week, or even actually slightly lower towards the 128.15 zone, approximately there. But don't forget, like I said, we do have this upside support line here taken from the December lows, and we could maybe see maybe a possible small rebound back up. So for now, be very careful. Certainly it's more to the downside rather than the upside, but if, let's say, this decides to break above this little short-term downside resistance line, then for better confirmation of the upside, certainly keep your eyes on the psychological 130 level. A nice good push above that could lead towards the 130.45, but for those who are even more cautious, you could in a way wait until this gets above the 130.45, 130.50, and then aim for higher levels, because we could in a way sometimes see something like a false breakout here, a push higher, but then actually the day's candle is going to close below this downside resistance line. So in a way, we saw these situations many times, and that's why probably you could in a way keep your eyes on the 130.50 level, and then probably target higher levels. Jumping into USDJPY, now this is a bit of an annoying pair lately, but finally again there are some signals that is showing that it wants to travel higher. Certainly what we're keeping a close eye on here is the psychological 110 level. You can see that it's now knocking on the door of it again, but for a better confirmation, probably just wait for a push above the 110.10, and then we will aim for higher levels like the 110.880, or even further up here towards the 111.45 zone, so marked near the highs of the 21st of December, also not far from the highs of the 26th of December, so also good potential level here. This one becomes the 111.45, but then again, we need to see a nice good push above the 110.10. Certainly we are watching the psychological 110 level, but the only thing is, like last week, we also had some breaks above the 110, but it kind of quickly got back below that level and remained there. So now again, yes, we are watching the 110, but keep your eyes on the for better confirmation, just wait for those extra 10 pips. So the 110.10, that could be a nice level to watch out for the upside, let's put it that way. On the downside, well, I mean, even if this, let's say, decides to retrace back down, because we're still trading above this upside, little short-term upside support line taken from the lows of the 4th of January, we need to see a nice good drop below the 109.10 level first, and only then we will consider further declines. So for now, guys, certainly we're seeing that the formation that's happening right now here on USDJPY, it looks more of a bullish one, but again, with the downside, keep your eyes on the 109.10 level. A nice good drop below that could send this pair lower. Okay, guys, I hope you found it useful. Thank you very much for watching and listening, and I do apologize for kind of going a little bit over my time, my normal 15 minutes, but yep, just wanted to quickly cover that. But I hope you found it useful, and if you want to join me later on in my traders tea time, and that's 14:15 GMT time. But for now, I hope you have a wonderful trading day, guys. See you later. Bye bye.